Wotsits, as a rule, are fairly cheesy, but these ones that say really cheesy on are exceptionally cheesy.
Mm.
Oh, do you know what I had the other day? Salt and vinegar quavers. Have you ever heard of such a thing, Tom? Hello?
Oh, yo.
Have you ever heard of such a thing? Salt and vinegar quavers?
No, that's totally original.
I had those the other day in Whitehaven. Delicious.
Salt and vinegar what?
Quavers.
They're like potato chips, but
Oh.
kind of soft and fluffy. And they're sort of curly shaped. They're quite large. Lot of tiny little air pockets in them. They're really cool.
And you wouldn't think it would be good for why? Salt and vinegar chips are delicious.
But they're only
Yeah,
ever
but quavers,
for 30 years they've
cheese.
been done as cheese flavour only.
Yeah, only cheese.
Yeah.
That's it. But for some reason they're branching out now. I think it's because Walker's owns them now. So anyway, welcome ladies and gentlemen to this week's edition of the Penny and Informed podcast, where we will finally talk about the Remnant Fellowship Church after various technical issues. Joining me as always from the south of England, Tom.
Cheers, people.
And from the east of America, Nikki.
Yeah, cheers.
And me in the northwest, right on the border of Scotland. I can see Scotland from my garden. So what have you guys been up to this week?
Work, housework.
Well, I've been. It's been the first week of the summer holidays from school, and I popped in one day, and we had lovely sort of fish and chips on the beach, and we're going on holiday tomorrow to the Isle of Wight, which is a small island just a few miles south of the south coast of England, and been busy packing the bag. Also, my poor darling wife has had a possible concussion, so she spent a lot of today resting, which has put a lot of so she's just been it's just been a bit of a rush to get things done this evening to pack, bless her heart. She's in an act of incompetence which you would normally associate only with me. She failed to get into bed properly and managed to bang her head on the wall instead of it landing on the pillow. The thing that's meant to separate man from the animals is, and I've several times in my life have I failed to do this, is to the ability to learn from your mistakes, because my dear wife actually managed this twice in one night. So, I mean, that's quite an achievement. I mean, I respect it, really. Oh, no, honestly, bless her heart. We even went to, took her to a doctor in the afternoon to check on her and, do various like concussion tests and things. So we've all been doing our best to look after her. I'd made our first, I managed still with her resting on the sofa and stuff, I managed to turn our first load of apples from our blessed apple tree in the garden into several pints of apple juice using a blender that arrived from Amazon today after yesterday's one mysteriously wouldn't start. It had a good innings, the last apple blender. It was there for 10 years, so we had a new one of them delivered. We've been having a nightmare. Sorry. When you asked how my week's been, it wasn't just an English pleasantry. You did actually want a proper answer, didn't you, Richard?
Well, I didn't want your life story. I mean,
I really should just shut up immediately out of respect for the brilliance of that. But
if you're going to the Isle of Wight, then you are in for a treat. It has one of the largest populations of white-tailed sea eagles in England.
Okay,
so you're pretty much guaranteed to see a sea eagle. So I'm kind of jelly of that.
Okay,
There's one around here. Don't see it very often. But...
Yeah, why would it want to hang around you?
No, I said there's one around here. There's a male bird that perches on bounders sometimes. But there's got a huge population on the Isle of Wight. So
Okay, I thought you said that you don't see it very often.
also the best place to see a water vole. So they're like mini beavers.
Okay, I'll keep my eyes open.
So yeah, nice trip to the old Isle of Wight. That's not the one with the wallabies on, is it? That's the Isle of Man.
I'll definitely send you guys pictures.
So speaking of wildlife, I went out to the marshlands tonight for a quick walk in the evening, hoping to see some wildlife. Walked 2 miles, didn't see a single thing except some cows. Turned right to head down the Lonning towards the exit and almost walked face first into a barn owl.
Oh,
that was pretty cool.
Wow!
Except for you were scared out of your wits and cried a little bit.
Yeah, not a fan of owls, as you know. But I got a really good view of it. It was quartering and it came down the Lonning towards me just as I was walking around, so I got a very good view of it. That was nice.
Never seen a live owl. That's fabulous, Richard.
They're beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Never seen a live owl.
Not in the wild. I've only seen them at sort of bird shows and or in zoos maybe. But I think they've got a couple relatively near us at a place called Wildwood. And they've got various animals there, and I've seen an owl or two there, but I've never seen one in the wild for sure.
Oh man, even when I lived in a city, I saw owls fairly regularly. I mean, they're not critically, and none of the owl species are super endangered. I mean, there are lots of them around.
There's a lot of things in life that I've sort of missed out on, much to the incredulity of my workmate Matthew. I lost count of the number of times he said to me, "What, you've never heard a song by Seal?" No. He goes, "Well, have you lived all your life? Were you born in a barn?" Yeah.
How have you never heard "Kiss from a Rose"?
I was just about to say it was on the Batman Returns soundtrack, and like it went redonkulous forever.
Well,
I'm do anything.
It was pre-internet viral. I mean, everyone's heard "Kiss from a Rose."
Well, maybe if I play it, if I heard it, I'd recognize it, possibly. But I don't know it. I can't hum it off the top of my head or anything like that. I've got no recollection of the name of the song or of the sound of it or anything. I don't know. I just pulled that one out of thin air that I've never heard a song by Seal. So there you go. If I've never heard of a song by Seal, why should it surprise you that I've never seen a bloody barn owl in the wild?
You know what you should have said? I'm not a fucking bird watching geek. Leave me the hell alone, you nerd.
I missed that get out of jail free card.
Yeah, you totally did.
Well, that hurts. And your mum likes my bird watching, so yeah, she does. Tells me all the time when I'm doing her. Boom.
Get done by somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, you'd be doing it.
Everybody needs some lovins. You're doing her a favor.
Oh yeah,
I think she's doing you a favor.
They're both Richard and my mum. Fuck savage. Lovely thought. Oh. I can see it in a Mills and Boon romance novel.
Your mum,
yep.
Yeah. No, not your mum, Nikki's mum.
Oh no, my mum's in on it and all. It's they have bloody threesomes, didn't you guys know?
Oh.
So what? This is now snowballed into me three-waying with both of your mums.
You better believe it.
I think it's only fair, and I think that you should offer Kevin's mom some skin too.
Oh yeah, better believe it. Bag's filming it for the porno. We'll make millions, even despite the digital Pornhub.
That's right.
In some desperate attempt to restore some dignity to the podcast,
you started this.
No, I came up with a witty one-liner. You two ruined it by being yourselves. Just want that noted.
Just like, you know,
That's what I do.
just what, Nikki, just, you know, if I ever do, as I hope to one day, take my dad up, you know, up to see Richard and go for walks like around the Lake District and stuff. If we go into any hides and there's, you know, evidence of a video camera been there, then you know all the white stains everywhere are not going to be bird poo. It's going to be what's been done where they've set one of their scenes.
Yeah.
Oh, you know it. Richard and
As if I would defile a bird hide by having sex with it. Have you no shame, man? It's a sacred place for sitting down and watching
And making
the bird
love, not having sex.
How the fuck did we end up? Well, it's all my fault, actually. That's how we ended up talking about this. I'm the one who bloody said it. How am I complaining?
Yeah, I mean, we were just having some your mum banter, and you gave it a vivid backstory and, you know, imagery that years of therapy will not remove from my head.
I turned
But
the
shall
answer 11. What can I say?
Shall we discuss how one woman with extremely terrible hair turned a diet loss program into a cult?
That would be great, because she does definitely have some questionable hair.
And by the
I'm glad I saw it and I was
Through the whole thing, I was like, oh my god, why?
yeah. And that's just
It just kept getting worse too.
yeah.
Yeah, this is our problem with that woman. It's not the cool. It's not any of that. It's the hair. The hair is the real crime in this. I mean, what was she thinking? It was like 70s Southern Belle style. You know, from
70s and
deep
80s,
south.
and then she just didn't
Change
let
it.
it go, man. She just forever. She was like, this is me, and I want everybody to look like me and think like me and act like me. You know, like her circle of female friends, like the women in the group, they looked pretty questionable as well. Definitely kind of like those Mormon TikTok moms. That's another cult that's going to come out.
The Mormon TikTok cult.
Yeah, the moms, man, that whole group of people you just look at them and you're like,
in general.
you guys are hot moms, but there's something wrong with you. And sure enough, you know, they're all messing with each other's husbands and stuff. So whatever.
Yeah, but that's what like Mormons do, isn't it? Aren't they all intermarried and stuff?
No, not all of them. There are some Mormons that still believe in polygamy, but swapping wives isn't necessarily one of their things. You know what I'm saying?
I've never understood what the big deal with polygamy is. You know, if you want more than one wife and they're cool with it, well, what the hell's the problem?
I'm cool with it as long as a woman can do the same thing if she wants more than one husband.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. It should go both ways, or you know,
yeah. And then which
the
case,
non-binary, or you know, people that identify as squirrels, they should be allowed as many husbands and wives as they want. You know, but I'm just saying, I've never seen what the problem with polygamy is. It seems like it's a massive sin in some circles, and I just don't understand why. But then I feel that way about homosexuality.
Well,
like,
you know, it's kind of there's a lot of things have changed, especially in the way we view things. Like marriage back in the day wasn't necessarily for love. You know, that's a new concept that we just started coming up with.
What, love?
No, marrying for love is a new concept. It wasn't for that before. It was, you know, to make bonds between families and all of that stuff. It was about money and power and land, and now, you know, we've been fed this thing about how you should marry for love, and it's become part of our culture. So it would make sense. I'm just saying that we would start going towards monogamy in that case.
Remember the dude who was cheating on his wife with a church woman, pretended to be possessed and killed his family, and only got served 5 years? Who's
No,
that
give us
mad owl?
his name. We're gonna have to
Yeah,
look
give us
that
a
up and
name.
do a show. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds fun. Anyway, so Gwen Shamblin Lara is the name
Yep.
of the woman with the absolutely terrible hair, and no, I'm not letting that go. So, a brief synopsis is she wanted to be a weight loss specialist. She wanted to start a clinic to help people lose weight, and it turned into a cult. That's a really brief synopsis, I'll grant you, but that's basically what happened. She just liked power, control, and money.
Well, after the show last week, I didn't know very much about it. So Nikki and I, we watched a documentary, didn't we?
We watched the first part of a documentary. Yeah, there was like 3 other episodes. I watched the rest of them without you.
Oh, cool. Well, no,
you Netflix or cheating on time.
my missus. We start a show and then, when we watch the first episode together, I turn around, she's on episode bloody 10.
I would usually wait for you, but I knew I wasn't going to get to talk to you and watch it with you before the show. So that's why I wanted to get more information. So
you didn't even bloody ask.
You're right. I just continued to watch it that night. I was like, let's go.
Yeah, I'm totally messing with you, buddy.
Oh, I know. You would have been screwed. I didn't get home until almost like midnight or past that your time every day this week.
Yeah, that would have been. I'd have been better off sleeping before and getting up to watch it if we were going to watch it together at that time. So
exactly. Yeah,
it's totally cool. I felt in that one episode I'd seen enough to get the impression of what the whole thing stood for.
So, go ahead and tell us the first part then.
Well, from what okay. Well, suddenly it's mastermind all of a sudden, is it? Okay, fine. No, what I remember is she there was a big turning point for her. I remember what it was. She had her particular take on Christianity, which was very much about your body weight, and her particular she just, I mean, I would argue that everybody sort of interprets the Bible, or big groups of Christians and big types of churches have interpreted the Bible in various particular ways, emphasizing various different things. Like the Catholics have drawn out particularly confess your sins one to another into a whole big ritual with, possibly with quite a controversial history. And her particular take on it was to do with your body side and your body being a temple of a Holy Spirit. And she particularly interpreted that to mean you need to be of a sensible size and weight. But then the other churches were sort of tolerant of her position on it and by and large accepted her in the mainstream until, and I couldn't quite work out why, and we talked a lot about this after the show, Nikki, she believed that there wasn't a Holy Trinity of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. She chose to theologically interpret the nature of God in a different way to the Holy Trinity, which is a model, prescribed to. I say model. That's a bit disrespectful. I mean,
correct. That's a good way to put it, though.
A way of just an entire belief of the nature of God. That's what I mean. I mean, an entire belief of the nature of God as being the Holy Trinity of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And I can't remember exactly how she interpreted it differently, but she did interpret it differently. And so she was therefore sort of ostracized by most mainstream, in inverted commas, mainstream churches. And she, very much saw herself as a pariah or a martyr to what she believed was the objective truth. I mean, there's so many. It happens over and over and over again in history. A various little group goes too far or goes too off track, and they become something totally separate, like, say, Jehovah's Witnesses or Mormons, the Church of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
There's another one of them that broke away. and the controversy around her, and of the sort of the damage that she did is not something I think we got quite. There was hints of it coming, and you saw a few examples, but the real beef of that will be things that you've watched, Nikki, and I've been ruthlessly excluded from. No. So, how did I do on my mind?
That was perfect, and I will watch the
Yeah,
rest of
that
it
was
with
really
you.
good.
That was
Thanks,
awesome.
guys.
And it's noteworthy to say that that she basically, the more godly you were, the less you ate. The more godly you were, the less you weighed. If you gained
Makes
weight,
sense.
she would definitely, toss you out. It was just very unhealthy. And when they kind of made her a pariah, she opened up her own church.
Mm.
And
Yeah, like happens with all cults, she decided she could do better without them, so she went and formed her own thing. It was dropped. As next book, one of her books was cancelled from publication. She was removed from the Women of Faith website. She was excommunicated by several of the big name churches, evangelical churches across the Bible Belt. But she persevered on with the older Remnant Fellowship Church. So it went from a dietary program to a church. It did take good a good amount of time for that transition, though. 20, almost 20 years, I think. When was the church built? 1993, and it was started. So about 13 years from weight loss clinic to church. Pretty cool.
yeah,
So yes, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just wrapping it up because it was quiet. So so a church, the Remnant Fellowship Church.
So do you know what happened to everybody?
No, enlighten us, please.
Okay.
Then I don't have to watch the other 3 hours. Bring it, Nikki.
Yeah.
Bring
so, they went through their own issues. Like I said, she was running the church. She was the head of the church. And like SoFlo said in the commentary, that she had a husband who was heavy set, and they hid him for quite some time. And then she ended up remarrying this hot guy. I think she stole him away from his wife, I believe. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on it. Anyway, so they go through all this controversy, and they're having all this issues. She's got a lot of ego issues. Yeah, so
Hard.
saying that in the diet, you could eat what you wanted, but very small portions. So,
Yes, portion
if you
control is
wanted to
important in a diet.
have a Hershey's Kiss for your meal of the day, you could do that. Or a slice of pizza, whatever, as long as
Good
you only
diet.
ate half of it.
It was a crash diet course, basically, the same as what Joe from Subway did. Well, sorry, I should say for legal reasons he's no longer associated with Subway.
Yeah, and anyway, they all wound up dying in a plane crash. So her daughter
And the
is
church
who's
leader.
left over. Yeah, the church leader is her daughter now, and she's mostly left it up to the leaders of the church that were there that were left, because most of the leaders ended up going down in the plane. And the way that they see death and everything is, you are not allowed. You have to be very stoic and waspy. You are not allowed to like show your effect, like your emotions. So her daughter, people still got married the same day when they found out, like people that were close to the family. The daughter was, when she's in public, she acts like she's super happy, but mostly right now she's in hiding, and that whole thing is up in the air. I'm just wondering if the cult's now over since her mom had passed away, or if she's going to continue carrying it on. But it looks like she's mostly out of the picture. Like she always aspired to be her mother, but I don't think that she's always been a lot quieter than her
She
mom.
doesn't have the same charisma
Correct.
or
She doesn't at all.
or the
Yeah.
same presence. She's what you call it, a yes man. I don't think she's got the stuff to run a cult. But I doubt she was that unhappy with how much she inherited. That's the bit that, despite the terrible hair, despite the whole cult thing, I do give Gwen props for that, because
Oh
she said
yeah.
throughout her entire life that she was leaving everything she owned to the Remnant Church, but it turned out she'd left everything to her kids, and I respect that. I respect the hell out of that.
Hmm. She
Just
left
say,
a good amount to the church as well.
yeah, but mostly to her kids, which I wouldn't trust the cult to take care of them after she passed.
Yeah.
So you say, is she in hiding or not, or sort of?
So it's more like she's not really making any public. She's not being a figurehead of the church. She's laying low. She's not in hiding. She's more like just not involved.
Right.
Like she's just trying to live her own life.
Right. So what state is the church in now?
Was in Tennessee.
Yeah, I believe it's still in Tennessee.
No, sorry, I didn't mean literally what state in America. I meant like
Oh,
what's
they're kind of
position.
in they're still open. They still have services. Most of them are the leaders that did actually that didn't make that plane trip. So the leaders that are left over is who's taking care of.
It's in a slow death, basically. Cool
Yeah,
boys full
essentially,
stop.
yeah, it's a very slow death. It's not going out like Waco or anything.
No.
Okay. Is it
It's not
circling
going
the
out Jonestown style or Heaven's Gate style.
That's right. They were flying to a MAGA rally.
Well,
So,
we on the Petty and Ill-Informed podcast have no political opinions either way, but
lol.
was it I just it's nice that she left that money to her kids. I'm just saying that it would have been easy for her to leave it all to the church and the kids to get nothing, but she did the right thing by them, and I respect her for that. But the hair was so bad. Like,
yeah, it was. And
being that rich, there's no excuse. You could have
Just
gone
show a
to a fucking.
picture.
Oh,
Show a
yeah,
picture
yeah,
of her
right.
hair. Just for people, it needs to be said. Like we're not being mean just to be mean. Like her hair is really questionable, y'all. It's bad.
could you, Richard, could you share a screenshot of? Sorry, could you share an image of her hair, please?
I
Yeah,
should
yeah.
go one day. It's only 3 hours away. I go this
I'm
way
looking for it.
anyway. Heck
Yeah.
yeah, that's not far away from where my doctors are.
Yeah, looking for it. Here we go. Here's a picture. Oh, this is a perfect picture. And she looks fucking hideous. Like, she looks like a skeleton. Just saying. Alright, here we go. I'm setting it all up now. La 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 la. Need to press buttons. Don't like Windows 10 at all. Miss Windows 7. It's Windows 11 now. I thought that was a good idea. Jodie Foster, probably. Here we go. Here we go. And you can see, like, we're not teasing. This hair is hideous.
That is quite the bouffant.
Even look at her lip liner. I remember that in the 90s where you just lined your lips and left the rest like a pink or a neutral color, like some kind of cholo. I don't know if that's totally politically incorrect. I'm sorry if I've offended you, but that's the lipstick look right there of the 90s. Look at those
Very much a woman.
everything looks awful. Like every part of it.
We
All of
hate to
it.
tear this woman apart, but this is just. She was rich, man. It's not like she couldn't have afforded to look better.
Yeah.
That's where you're offended. You're like, she could have done something.
She could have done something. It's not like she was trailer trash.
But that's definitely 100% Middle Eastern, like Middle Eastern. Wow, Midwest.
Wow.
Yeah, right. Midwest trailer trash. I've seen that. Like Aquanet for days. Nope. It's not good. No bueno.
In Star Wars, there's a species that have these like enormous sort of craniums extending upwards. Judging from that picture, she could easily be the female of the species. There's there's a Jedi member of the Jedi Council called Ki-Adi Mundi. I'd need to go and get my Episode 1 visual dictionary, which happens to be right in front of me to identify the name of the species. But yeah, she could easily be exactly that. The female of the species is more deadly than the male.
Yeah, what Matt Johnson is trying to do is what she actually accomplished so far. You know, she had a proper cult, and Matt Johnson is trying to make one. And he's not going to, because he doesn't have the same presence and charisma. He just comes across as unlikable.
That's true.
You know, because she was if you watch the documentaries or any interview with her, she came across as a very charming, you know, nice woman. Well, you know, all cool leaders do. No?
No, I didn't see her that way. I would have taken one look at her and been like, this is not it. And it's not just the hair, it's the whole look.
It's not just the hair, although the hair doesn't help.
It's the whole look. It's the way she presented herself. I immediately would have been like, this is not the kind of person for me.
I'm just saying, she had money. Like,
yeah, but that's what
stylist.
And you know what's funny is she had people in the church do her hair. Like, she didn't have to pay for anything. People in the church did everything for her.
I've just put my cam on quickly because my cat has come to say hello.
No one wants to see your pussy.
No, I wouldn't.
Trousers. I know I wear the skirt, but I've got a pussy. You know?
It would have been so easy to say Tom's just playing with his pussy. Just saying, Nikki. You missed really low hanging fruit there. Anyway, so like all cults, they had their publicity difficulties. There was a couple of their members that were convicted for literally beating one of their own kids to death.
And they made sure that they defended them. Like, the church dished out the money to defend them. That
to me is another token of respect, because they didn't wash their hands of them. They had their backs. I mean, it's an awful thing those people did, and they deserve to rot in prison. But the church didn't cut them loose, which, I don't know. Loyalty is a big deal for me. So, I mean,
yeah, it's okay to kill your children, but don't.
It's just see, that's the problem, innit? I mean, you can't condone the actions. It's awful, but they didn't cut them loose.
Yup.
It's just a shame it was over something so bloody awful.
Right.
Because
she told them essentially to beat their children. In fact, if you didn't know, so that whole thing that happened was they were having issues with that boy, and I can't remember. He wouldn't stop crying. They'd beaten the snot out of him and all of that stuff. He wouldn't stop crying. And then what they wound up doing was calling, and they were told to put him in this little chest. They told them to lock him in the chest. So they did this. It was a chest at the bottom of their bed. They locked him in, or they put him in there, and he kept peeking out to get air or whatever. So what they wound up doing was slamming it back. They slammed it onto his head. The door, they slammed it down onto his head, and they ended up like locking it, like padlocking it around, like putting chains around it so he couldn't get out. And the boy essentially died from suffocation and blunt force trauma to the head. But he had already been so very abused like the whole time. But he had done it under the church's, whoever the leader was that he talked to. I don't remember. I think it might have been her directly. But she had told him to do it. All of the things that they did to their children, a lot of them were actually condoned by the church itself and directed for those children to be like that. You know, like in that
and it makes
church,
you
you
wonder
would
how
see.
many unreported stuff there was.
Right, and they're pretty sure that it was systemic. Like all of their children had systemic abuse. But yeah, it was just people were talking about how they would go into the church and there would be like 3-year-olds sitting there, or 4-year-olds sitting there, just not saying anything, just sitting quietly, and that takes a lot of training. And beating the snot out of your kid is a good way to keep them to be still inside a church when they don't have children's services.
Oh, so I think it'd be interesting at this point to gauge what were the problems with this church. I mean, we've already covered, thanks to you guys' insight, we've covered that they would ostracize overweight members or people who gained weight.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you were a leadership role and you gained weight, you no longer were a leader, or they would hide you. So where you might be on stage helping out, you gain 20 pounds and suddenly you're behind stage, not allowed to be seen.
Well, fat shaming doesn't get, or body shaming doesn't get any worse than that, does it?
Not really. Like you're heavy, you can't be here.
Oh, that's terrible. And we've heard about sort of the treatment of young people and infants, having to be really rigidly disciplined in a way that by any, modern standard or any sort of humane standard, big philosophy debate aside, would consider unacceptable.
Yeah, I think 99% of, well, actually 100% of anybody decent is going to tell you it's going to be absolutely monstrous to lock a child in a chest for just extended periods of time.
Well, yeah.
Especially when it's airtight.
Oh God, no, that's just dangerous. That's just borderline attempted murder.
Right.
Or close to it. I mean, jeez.
So, like, really, they had to kind of be the people that front the money and that try to defend them, because if the truth got out, they're in trouble. They're associated with this person. This person
Didn't see it like that.
Right. So going, oh man, Faith, no. They would get their top people out because they knew where the bodies were. So you couldn't let these people go to jail and possibly give you up. You needed to be the one footing the bill and making sure that they got off scot-free. So there you go.
Right.
Well, its main negative thing, Tom, was that it was a cult. It was just designed to make as much money and control and rip people down.
And that's where I was going next. What about financially? I mean, what are the sort of indications of corruption and things like that?
Well, the leader, the people, when she died, she left billions, behind. She was a billionaire. The church is worth
right
considerable amount. It's just, standard. If you join us, you have to give us everything you own. Clause, and book deals, TV shows, all sorts of stuff. You never roll in it.
Yeah.
But corruptness, I couldn't find any evidence of any of the leaders being involved in anything, other than being cult leaders. Shady, though. They weren't being caught with prostitutes. I'm sure they were doing it. They just weren't getting caught.
Right, a lot of it was just in their dealings, and then um like she pretty much made her church community do everything for her. There was someone that cooked her food, someone that did her hair. It was all 100% free. She had all this money coming in. um they would it, I'm trying to think of the words. Anyway, yeah, there wasn't a whole bunch of like just really horrible financial stuff. It's all the stuff around what they did besides that, like the punishment of the kids, you know,
Yeah.
endorsing child abuse. One woman, uh, she was passing out, going to the hospital. They told her she needed to fast more. Like literally, she wasn't eating or drinking or anything. She would fast for months straight and do nothing but drink beef broth and drink water, because it was kind of forced upon her, and she was told that she wasn't holy if she wasn't doing it.
Right.
Good times. So, yeah, there you go. Cult. She
Cult.
dies. Can't legally say, couldn't have happened to a nicer person. But, I'm sure you got to. Actually, we are. We have to, under the church's own rules, we have to be all waspy about it, don't we?
I mean, yeah, that's actually kind of typical of churches. Whenever I saw that, I was like, well, that's kind of normal. The whole, you got to smile through it. You got to be smiley and happy and not show that you're struggling. Like that is, I think that that's prime church behavior anyway, isn't it? Like the whole, I'm okay, you're okay, we're okay. We're wonderful and perfect as long as we're here. I've only been to one church where that wasn't a thing, where people just said what they needed to, and it's probably like my favorite church I've ever been to. It was just people going, "We're effing messes."
It's in the old Corinthians. We are hot messes. Probably is in Corinthians.
Probably.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else we might have missed. We covered the abuse. We could talk a little bit more about the weight loss stuff.
Well, hang on. We've actually. Wait a minute, guys. Hang on. Time out. We've finished with 17 minutes to spare, and we've actually managed to reach the end of the topic.
We'll drag it out a little. Yeah, I mean.
Guys, that's just fabulous. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I think this has been a great show so far. I think this has been one of the best I've been involved with. This is fabulous.
Yeah, we're having a nice chat, getting it all out there, everything. Because we've all done our research this week as well, which helps.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say sometimes people don't do their research, but...
What are you trying to talk about? What are you trying to say, Richard?
I'm trying to say you're lazy and hardly ever do any research.
You're absolutely correct.
Well, it's also easy for you to say you weren't the one in the bloody spotlight, you lucky git.
Yeah, but you did so great. I could tell that it had at least kind of stuck with you, and I had forgotten the beginning, and that's why when you seemed to know, I was like, Tom, tell us about it, because once you got it rolling, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that now. Because it's been a week. Well, I've slept a few times since then.
Well, I'll enjoy this moment of glory while it lasts.
Yeah, I just knew.
Right.
Could be sometime we see it again.
Yeah,
definitely will be. Let's be fair. I mean,
you did awesome. That was really great.
Yeah, well done, Tom.
I just could tell that it had stuck with you, and that you would at least like together. Our ADHD fills in the gaps, I guess. Because you had the beginning part, and I had towards the end.
We pulled it off, buddy. Oh, so nice to chill after such a busy
This is
day. Wow.
interesting transition though from weight loss clinic to church. That's what grabbed me about the story. That's what I was like, how do you make that leap? But then of course, you learn all about, religion was always a part of
Yeah.
her. So, it was a natural transition. But if you just heard those two things separately with no context, you wouldn't necessarily be able to connect them together.
Right. But a lot of that stuff, like there's a bunch of woo stuff that goes on that even now it's very cult like the urine drinking people and anti-vaxxers and stuff like that like they're just cults waiting to happen. You know, just like even if it's not a religious cult, they are cults waiting to happen that have those leaders that don't care, like Jilly Juice,
Oh, jelly juice.
that
I
woman
don't
is a cult
understand why
leader.
that's not illegal. You know,
It should be.
how can she put on her website that it cures cancer and homosexuality, and she's not in jail? That's what I want
Oh,
to know.
how about the fact that she puts on there that you can regrow lost limbs?
Ugh. And
What?
it'll kill people if they
Oh,
drink too much of it.
absolutely. Do you not know
It's
about
like,
Jilly? Do we need to do a show on Jilly Juice? Because I could do an
we could
entire
do,
show on Jilly Juice.
yeah, I could go about jelly juice for hours.
I can
I
give
mean,
you
that
clips from Dr. Phil. She's a crazy person. It's basically cabbage water with so much salt. Like the amount of salt that you would eat in like a month is what's in it. It causes people to stroke out. We'll just have to do it. It's such an interesting thing, but she's got a cult following, and there's just so many woo like scary things like this. Just people snake oil, but it's dangerous for you. Like there was mud water not too long ago, and it had
snake.
very much the same kind of thing. And then they found out it was literally mud. You put in your water like dirt, but it had so much metal in it. It was making people sick and toxic stuff because people were dumping real close to where they were getting the mud, but people were literally putting dirt in their water to drink it. But Jilly Juice is bad. Woo
Jelly juice
pseudoscience.
is bad. It's not even pseudoscience. That's just insulting pseudoscience. It's just
That's
one
very true.
woman's crazy rantings. Ugh. And when people say this causes me to have explosive diarrhea, and she's like, "It's not diarrhea. It's waterfall. It's different from diarrhea."
Yeah, it's like the people that drink their own urine. They don't call it urine, they call it urea or orin to make it sound more elegant, I guess. So you're not like, yeah, I'm drinking my piss. You're like, oh, my magical golden orin that cleanses my body.
Who
We
drinks their urine? Come on, who are these people?
So many people, so many people. They drink their urine. They do urine eye drops. Uh,
Oh, for mercy's sake.
they do urine enemas. Dude, I can do an entire show on this. I have so much because I just follow this stuff all the time because I'm just in shock at how horrible these people are and how dumb they are and just how these people prey on sick people that they can't afford to get real help. So they're looking for anything that they can afford. And if that means they have breast cancer and they're going to get a very horrible black salve to put on their body and eat away, they're going to try it before they go get it taken out because they don't trust doctors. But they'll trust some quack that tells them to put this caustic stuff that's going to eat away their flesh.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh my god.
doctors don't know anything, but my mate Sharon's aunt on Facebook.
Well, that's
There's a
right.
legend.
Exactly. That's what it is. Doctors, or they'll go to the doctor. The doctor will be like, "You have X, Y, and Z. You need to do X, Y, and Z for it." And they'll go, "Nah, I have X, Y, and Z, but I read online I can do A, B, C for it. If I just drink my urine and do 5 coffee enemas a day, I'm gonna feel better."
The internet is a gift and a curse. Mostly a curse, let's be fair.
Mostly, but I find this kind of stuff to be a gift, because if it's an adult doing it to themselves and they should know better, it's sad. Some of these guys are being taken advantage of, but also some of them are so cocky in it and their ignorance. I like watching them do horrible, stupid crap to themselves and then wonder what went wrong. My issue comes when it comes to elderly and children who can't make those decisions for themselves, having
Yeah.
parents that do that to them, or guardians that do that to them, children, when they can't. I've seen like 80-year-old men with dementia with a giant gaping hole in their face because their kid decided that since they had melanoma, they should just put black salve on it, and now half of the face is missing because they just black salve their grandpa instead of taking him
What?
to the damn doctor. Oh yeah,
What?
it's bad. I'll have to if you want to delve into the deep dark of what the fuckery, I will send you some stuff, man. It's crazy.
The deep dark of what the fuckery.
Yeah, of
We didn't ask you to describe your sex life, Nikki.
Name of my sex name.
He's not even
I love
wrong.
it. I know, it's so good. You're just upset you didn't come up with it.
I was going to say title of your sex tape, but he got there first.
That's my vagina's new name. The deep dark what the fuckery.
That's what's written on every bathroom stool I've seen.
Guys,
Right.
you guys are legends.
Anyway. So yeah, you want to talk about jelly juice next week then?
I would love to talk about jelly juice.
We'll do
Really?
jelly juice next.
Jelly juice.
Okay.
It's good. Jelly juice, yes.
Well,
right.
okay, I'll clearly need to do some of that research that we all don't do and make sure we live up to our name of being ill-informed.
That's right.
No, Tom. Like you've done your bit. You've had one awesome show out of the 20 you've done. Just go out on a high.
Yeah, I'll rest on my laurels for another few months.
Yeah, that sounds
exactly.
good. And then shock them later.
Then you can shock me like for 3 months, maybe even in 2023. You can be like, "Oh, I've actually researched this," and I'll be like, "Oh shit, Tom's on point today." That'd be great.
Yeah, I know. I would do it more often, Richard, but I wouldn't want to give you a heart attack.
It would kill me. Like, I mean, I'm just grateful you stopped sending me pictures of the abominations you eat. Especially,
I enjoy my cooking, man.
it's wrong. You are an immoral person.
Well, I said I'm getting my phone. You're flipping dead. I'm gonna bombard your DMs. They're gonna blow up, mate.
With vegan food.
Yeah,
vegan food is evil.
He never sends me pictures of his food. Like, that makes me sad.
He knows it annoys me. That's why he does it.
I love it. I love it. I love vegan food.
Nikki, I didn't. The only reason I've not sent you anything like that is because I didn't know. You're
food porn, man. Give it.
I'll do it in our group chat of Discord. I'll post a couple of. I'll go and grab my phone any second, and I'll post some. Some
send it to her directly. Leave me out of it.
No, don't send it to both of us. He needs it.
Yeah, I don't need it. It's evil what he does to food.
He eats it.
What?
No, he takes vegetables and he makes them look like meat. I'm just like, just be a fucking omnivore. Don't pretend to be a vegan if you're going to eat food that looks like meat.
No, some of that I do, but actually this latest stuff has not been. It's not been wannabe meat food the way some of my stuff admittedly completely is, and I have no problem with that whatsoever. The fact that it annoys Richard is just an added bonus.
Right.
Yeah. So like Aldi's vegan, synthetic burgers. I say synthetic. It's just it's as processed as a normal beef burger. It's just using plant proteins and stuff, not using beef. And it's but they're absolutely delicious, and I'm not at all ashamed to say I find them exquisite. But these latest meals have not been that. They've just been what they are. They're not trying to be anything. They're not. It's all. No, it's very very healthy, and it's not processed at all. It's vegan food as it really should be, I guess.
It is written in the Bible, Tom, John 3:16. For God loved the world so much, he sent his only son to die for its sins. Had he known people like you would one day be born, he wouldn't have bothered.
Wow.
Savage, as you always tell me.
You could have 3 Jesuses nailed to a cross and it wouldn't make up for your sins.
Oh, mate, what can I say? Oh, I'm doing my bit to try and help out climate change. That's the whole point of it. I mean, that's why that and I mean animal cruelty, but also just
how is you eating vegetables going to stop climate change?
It's not going to stop it, is it? It just means I'm a tiny bit more part of the solution than I was when I was a tiny bit more part of the problem. That's all I can say. That's how.
Do you have any idea how much machinery is involved with vegetables as opposed to cattle?
Less than the amount of damage to the climate's done by your cows farting that make your steaks. I mean, everybody. I don't want to be preachy about it. I mean, it's just come up, which is the conversation this way.
Steak.
That was why I made the choice myself. That's how I felt, and so there you go. But far from me to be on any kind of high horse or anything. Believe me, if I'm riding any kind of high horse, it's the tiniest hobby horse seen in human history. It's barely 1 foot off the ground, my high horse. I have none. I'm beneath it. I'm swinging around between the high horse's hind legs so low, I'm lucky I'm not being stood on.
No.
Dear goodness. Anyway, that'll wrap us up for this week. We will return next week, despite the hopes of many, to talk about Jilly Juice. It's good night from me, and it's good night from them.
Good night.
Thanks, everybody. Take